Power Hour LSU. Boom!
All night long. Yes.
Let's freaking go! Survive and advance. Say it with me again. Survive and advance. Once again, LSU didn't play their absolute best whatsoever. They were losing at halftime. And what the heck happened in that second half? I would love anything more for the Washington Post to investigate what Kim said to these ladies to come out looking like prime UConn, looking like last year's national championship team. That was some all-time great coaching by Kim Mulkey and her staff, because in the first half, offensively, they were so stagnant. They were not moving whatsoever. They were giving up so many open looks when Middle Tennessee started to take over in that second quarter. And then the third quarter, Flau'jae Johnson proved that she might be the best player on this team with what she was doing on both ends of the floor. My overall analysis, not only factoring in this first game, but the second game as well, is Flau'jae and Anissa Morrow have been by far our best players. And I'm not going to say that we have been a two-person team, but I will tell you that Angel Reese has had two clunky games in a row. You take a look at two of the baskets she made. They were kind of snowbirding, easy lay-ins in transition. So at this point, Haley Van Lith is struggling crazily. Obviously, Michaela Williams had a lot better game versus Rice than she did today, but she did some good things as well. The bottom line is Anissa Morrow and Flau'jae Johnson are the superstars, and they are the ones that are pushing us. And that's a good thing, because Angel has not played her best March Madness ball just yet. So obviously, this is going to be a fun live stream. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you can hear me loud and clear, okay? Going with a little bit of a darker, evil backdrop here, because I was going crazy in that first half. LSU was playing so poorly, and it looked like Middle Tennessee was going to win this game today. And I think for me, LSU has had a favorable whistle. They've gotten more of the good calls than the bad calls, and that normally happens when you are playing at home. I thought there were some really good whistles for LSU overall. And I think Middle Tennessee has nothing to really hang their hats on. I mean, it took LSU playing poorly for them to even be in this game. But once we put our foot on the gas pedal, that was when it was game over for them. LSU is obviously a very elite program. This is a very elite team that right now is distracted. You could just see it, right? They're very frustrated, and we aren't playing our best. And we're going to need to, okay? Because if we don't, this could get very ugly moving forward. So, obviously, when Kim Mulkey gets on the podium, we'll play some of her audio a little bit later. Obviously, watch the full game. I am not Carolyn Peck. I don't know the ins and outs of every last little thing about women's basketball, but I'm going to give you my absolute best analysis because I love the game and I've been watching it my whole life. Okay, let's go to Hakeem here. We had a skipper, Ray Watt, a lot of our patrons, pick six cards, Cole Adams. Hakeem says, great second half. Just need my girl Angel to finish those putbacks. She got her double-double, but Flau'jae was the X factor today. Forget everything else. Yeah, Flau'jae is our best player. It's either her or Morrow. They have, and this isn't just a two-game thing. This is what happened in the SEC tournament thing. And I got some nasty curmudge on my laptop. I don't even know what this is. But either way, there's no other way around it. They have just taken our program, honestly, on their backs. And look, they're going to have to figure out this Haley Van Lith situation because she was she had a tough game versus Rice. She had a tough game today. And, yeah, I mean, it just wasn't good. But you take a look at the final box score. Obviously, Flau'jae 21, Anissa Morrow 19. Michaela Williams had 16. Angel Reese had 20. So, obviously, Michaela towards the end was putting them away. So, I would say Michaela, actually, I'll take back what I said a minute ago. She's played well these first two games. And honestly, I could see Michaela having a bigger role moving forward because, well, that's what a lot of NCAA basketball is. It's half court, clunky, get someone the ball so they can go get you a bucket. And Michaela Williams is probably our best perimeter bucket getter, her or Flau'jae. So, you know, I don't know what LSU is going to do with this Haley Van Lith situation because she's just not playing well. There will be conversations if POA should get more time. You take a look at the final minute distribution, and, well, last year POA actually played way less than Haley Van Lith this year, or should I say this game. I was a little shocked by that. POA had 14 minutes, and Haley Van Lith had 27. So she played double the amount of minutes. I would probably flip-flop that moving forward. But we'll see. You know, I felt going into this tournament that Haley Van Lith could have a bigger role, but right now she's just not it for us. And there's going to need to be some conversations here if POA should play better. Okay. Is your sound going in and out? It could be me. I'm not entirely certain. We go to this here, and you could see that, well, it's pretty clear that Savannah Wheeler, their best player, just could not get it going. She did score 21, but she was 1 of 8 from 3-point range. Also, their Boldureva, her going out with the 5th foul was absolutely massive. Boldureva, 9 points, 2 rebounds, and that 5th foul was huge. Angel Reese drew that foul in the second half. So there you go. Now, it looks like LSU baseball is getting crushed. I think I saw Sherry Berry say that they lost 11-2. I know LSU gymnastics is going on as well. I also know that LSU softball was able to figure it out today. They were able to win 4-3. So there you go. Let's see here. Put this on the screen just so everyone can see this. This tournament is really about surviving and advancing. Okay. That's all that matters. There we go. That's all that matters. Cody with our first super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. That's all that matters. Find a way to get it done. Can't have a Reese versus Clark rematch in the Final Four setting. This was a crazy stat. All right. sometimes in life, it is better to be lucky than good. You might have heard that phrase growing up if you're like me and you played FIFA. Okay. It's from, I think it originated from a famous soccer announcer named Andy Gray. That's his name. All right. It's better to be lucky than good. Would LSU today have beaten Louisville, who is a better team than Middle Tennessee State? Would they have won? I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. But in the first round of the women's NCAA basketball tournament, there was one team that pulled off a first round upset. One team. And that team's name was Middle Tennessee State. Okay? So, what does that mean? LSU got lucky today. Sometimes in life, it's better to be lucky than good. Would LSU, the way that they played today, would they have beaten Louisville? I don't know. Louisville, obviously, a very good team. They choked it away versus Middle Tennessee. They had a lead, and Middle Tennessee was able to come back and win. And they had a half court. They had a half court heave that did not go in, and it almost did. So LSU played the only double-digit seed in the second round. The only seed that pulled off the first round upset. And of course, today, Ohio State got beat by Duke. But I will say, second half LSU is beating almost anyone in the country. So you divide the games up into 4 halves. That's what I like to do to increase the sample size. Okay. And you take into effect that LSU had some good whistles go in their favor and Middle Tennessee got into foul trouble. It was over by that third quarter. So I think the favorable whistle, I think, as well as Middle Tennessee not being as good of a team as Louisville, helped us out. But that's part of survive and advance analysis. You kind of are who you are. LSU is not necessarily the most well-oiled, get an open look machine offensively. They are very ISO ball, let their stars try and figure it out type of offense. And there's good and bad with that. The good is you have the players who can get their own shot and make plays. And if they don't make their shot, you have a player underneath who can rebound it and put it back in. That's a big part of the LSU offense. But what you don't have is open shots. We don't generate a lot of open looks. We were very stagnant offensively. But when the other team tires and we get a couple of stops, if we get going, if we get in transition, no one could beat us. Nobody. Really, only South Carolina could really stand with us if we are cooking like we were in the second half. So I got to give Kim Mulkey a lot of credit. She did a really good job keeping the team locked in, and we just outlasted them. We outwilled them. And the only person on either team that really needs to look at themselves in the mirror is the Middle Tennessee coach, who I believe during that mic'd up segment during halftime said something along the lines of, "We are more talented than them." Really? Oh, really? I could have lived with you saying, "Oh, we can out hustle them," or "Oh, we can keep generating looks." But when you say you're more talented than us, at least that's what Andrea Carter said she heard. I don't know. I missed it. I missed it. I saw that there was a mic'd up thing, but I had my volume turned down. So there you go. Also, one other thing that makes me really freaking excited, that really makes me pumped up about today, is this. My wife is a Middle Tennessee State grad. Let's go. There are no upsets happening in the Bryan household tonight. That is all there is to it. If you're Middle Tennessee State, I don't care. Terrell Owens, if you're watching this, I don't care. Even though I think he went to Tennessee, Chattanooga. Still, whoever you are in the state of Tennessee, you're not beating these Tigers. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Survive in advance. Now, before we get back into super sharp analysis, before we get back in to the Carter the Power Hour situation, Cody, thank you for your super chat. Any question under the sun you want me to answer, let me know. I do want to show you this. There was royalty in the crowd for the LSU game tonight. Let's freaking go. Yes, that is Sherman Wilson and Todd Graves and 3 LSU football icons. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. You got 5 millionaires right there. Look at that. Look at that. That is great. Since we are a mostly football channel, pretty good stuff. I freaking love it. That obviously makes me feel great. Everybody, welcome Fat Boy Slim to the channel. Flajay is the best, is a beast, the glue of this team. Yeah, I mean, if you factor in the SEC tournament, she has been the best player. Or I will put it this way. She is the one playing closest to her peak. And that's obviously what we want. We need – you don't need everyone to play their absolute best. You need some of your players hitting their peak. And that's what you need, right? And also the fact that Michaela is playing at an extremely high level is really good stuff. I was a little shocked that Middle Tennessee didn't do some of the things that Rice did to give us some issues, some of that 1-3-1 stuff. But that's not here nor there. I'm not a part of their coaching staff. They probably didn't have that much time to really dive deep into that Rice game. But still, we're cooking. We're absolutely cooking. Let's see. Let me see. Yes, please hit that like button. Ring the bell. Don't forget, get your merch now. PowerHourLSU.com/shop. Yeah, I don't understand why he said that. Like, that was like the only wrong thing they really did today. I thought the foul, a couple of the fouls called on both. Once again, I'm never going to see a women's game be officiated well. It's impossible. It's virtually impossible at this point. And I'll call it like I see it. I will give the women's officiating crews credit when they finally call a game correctly. But that's just never going to happen. Now, a few things that kind of perturbed me over the last 24 hours. I don't want to spend too much time on this because nothing really matters until the story actually comes out. But there's so much buzz about this Washington Post situation. I didn't think I didn't think Kim should have even addressed it yesterday. I don't know why, because we still don't know what the story's going to say. She might know what it's going to say, but I don't know. I think her addressing it kind of Streisand affected it, but she issued this long statement, okay? And then the announcers were saying it. I'm telling you right now, if this story is a nothing burger, I am going to go crazy. I'm at the point now where I kind of hope there is something in there, because if there's not, we have to really look into hyping up media stories like this. I still think no matter what happens, we got to ask a question. Why would a reporter who doesn't even cover the team, who doesn't even work for the organization, why would Pat Forty even leak that there is a Washington Post story coming? At this point, that is the only mention that this story even exists. We had Kent Babb tweet something cryptic out that he is working on something with the Washington Post. But folks, I have a journalism degree. I am not a journalist, all right? I am not. But I will tell you that there are a lot of basic journalism practices that have been breached here by Pat Forty. I'm not going to say anything about Kent Babb until the story comes out. We'll see what it says. I'm not going to say anything about Kim Mulkey until the story comes out. Outside of, I don't think she should have even addressed it. But the point here, okay, is Pat Forty doing that is wild, absolutely wild journalism ethics. And it is very anti-LSU to do what he did a few days ago. And now it's this whole thing because let me tell you this from a journalism standpoint, why what Pat Forty did was really bad. Because now it could give the Washington Post it could give them more ammunition to further slant the story in an anti-Kim Mulkey way, if that makes sense. Because now there's so much buzz, there's so much hype going into this story that could slant the editor's view of the final edit of the draft. Okay, because it could make the editor say, look, they're expecting some real dirt into this. So now I am going to do whatever I possibly can to really push a narrative in this story. It affects it. I don't care what anyone says. It's going to affect that. So, you know, I mostly just wanted to address the 40 side of things. Like I said, if there is something nefarious in there that deserves criticizing of the LSU women's basketball program and a Kim Mulkey, I will do it. I will do it. Obviously, I'm a fan of this program. I will also tell you that what Pat Forty did was very irresponsible. It really, really, really did. And that's what really pissed me off because he doesn't know what the F is in that story. He might. But we'll see. It is interesting, like how much he hates LSU. It's insane. And the funny thing about it is some of the best journalism that has been done is the organization that Pat Forty actually works for. And I won't get into this story, but there was some elite sports journalism done by Yahoo in the past month in another sport that I cover. And I was like, this is some elite journalism. But I think Pat Forty's still with Yahoo. I really don't know. And I've met Pat before. Nice guy. But that was a crock of you know what. And I sometimes say the S word. I'm not going to do it now because I just don't feel like it. It's not worth it. Okay. Cliff says he's collecting receipts when the HVL hits a game winner or dagger. I'll tell you this. I hope you do. But the first two games here, Haley Van Lith has been bad. I mean, I'm just calling it like I see it. That's why you guys come here, right? But the potential for her to go out there and win us a game is still there, and I still think she's going to need to do that at some point in this tournament if we're going to win it. NCAA basketball tournament, there's always one game. If you're actually going to win it all or go to the Final Four, there's going to be one game where your point guard is just going to need to win it. That's just how it is. Game plans change. Teams change. It's a very fluid thing. We're not going to get an elite Flau'jae and Morrow game every game like we did this first two games. I think the big story is Michaela Williams, though. And I'm not just saying that because she's been on this channel. We're big fans of hers. I think HVL needs to play better. All right. And yeah, there was some defensive issues. So there you go. Yeah, I have no idea what's going to be in the story. I really don't. I've gotten a lot of questions for you. I've heard many different things, many different rumors. I have a few speculative things I think the story can go into, but I don't know. What's up, Lance? Good to see you. Yeah, before we even play Iowa, we're probably going to have to play UCLA. And look, part of winning an NCAA tournament, part of it is you need other teams to beat other teams. And obviously LSU already caught a big break with Middle Tennessee, who doesn't have the same level of talent as Louisville, them beating Louisville. Last year, LSU caught a big break. Miami, who wasn't that good of a team, went on a long run, and we played Miami, and we blew them out. They didn't have near the same level of athleticism, and we didn't even play that well in that game. That was probably the worst game we played the entire March Madness. We still blew them out, still took care of business. And we didn't blow them out, but we pulled away in the fourth quarter. So that's part of it. I say that because I could see Iowa losing. They're not a one-person team, but they kind of sort of are a one-person team. I could see UCLA losing. I think the best thing going for LSU right now in terms of actually repeating as national champions is South Carolina's on the opposite bracket. What they did today should be illegal. They beat a good North Carolina team by 50 or something like that. They are looking darn good. So we don't have to worry about them until the title game. Put their foot down. There you go. Once Middle Tennessee's best post player got fouled out, the score was still in the 40s. And LSU then opened up the 27-8 run, and then that was that. So there you go. Manuel says, do I see the Gamecocks losing? No, I think we'll play them in the finals. I think it's either going to be us versus them in the finals or Iowa. I just don't see it. They're extremely deep. They're healthy, and that's just it. They're the best team for a reason. And obviously, I would like to see them a third time. That would be pretty epic if we could finally beat them in the national title game. But I'm not necessarily too worried about them at this point. As I've said before this tournament began, if we made it to the Final Four, that is a big W for me. It's hard to go back-to-back. There's not been a team to go back-to-back, I believe, since Breanna Stewart. It's really, really, really hard. So if we get to a Final Four, I'll take it, even though our new standard, of course, is winning national championships. And obviously, this is, Angel Reese is a lottery pick. I've seen her pretty much in the top 10 of every mock WNBA draft. Obviously, there's not as many mock WNBA drafts as there are NFL or NBA drafts. But, this could be our final year with Angel and HVL. So there you go. Iowa is the weakest number 1 seed, according to Hakeem. I don't know about that. I really, really, really don't. So let's get back into the box score. We normally dive into this a little bit earlier, but we're taking all your comments. Once again, if you super chat, first $20 super chat will get an autographed LSU football card from yours truly in the mail. Please sign up for the PHL Patreon. I'm getting ready to drop my high school football grades of every single prospect in the class of 2024. And There's a few shockers in there. There's some guys that I'm not as much in love with as the recruiting services, and vice versa. There's some guys that I love that are in the 3-star category. We take a look at this. Del Rosario barely played today. I think after that elbow, they mostly kept her on the bench. Lucky enough they didn't upgrade that. LSU shot well from the free throw line again, 26 or 37, 70%. That can always be better, but you'll take it. Okay, 2 of those free throws at the end were from a backup, Angelica Velez. You take a look. Overall, LSU scoring is normally pretty balanced amongst the Big Four, and that's a pretty interesting trend. Normally, those 4 or at least 3 of them are in the same amount of point total. This is a very balanced team. LSU had 4 players have exactly 6 field goals made. LSU had 4 players go for 16, 19, 20, and 21. So that's just normally how it goes for LSU. Anissa Morrow, 35 minutes. Angel Reese, 35 minutes. Michaela Williams, 36 minutes. Flau'jae, 37 minutes. That is a lot, right? Not having Samaya, of course, really hurts. She is a very, very good backup. So there you go. Justin says he's not expecting us to get that far. Take a look at the poll question. 48% of you are predicting LSU to win the national title. There you go. Now, I'm not sure if we're going live tonight. We might just keep this going. I might go 5 hours tonight. Why not? If you guys want to talk some LSU football, I'm happy to do it. I want to keep this, mostly women's basketball, but I did find it interesting that Sage Ryan was the best player yesterday, and the entire media got to watch Sage Ryan do what he did, and he I thought that was interesting. I know a lot of you have your reservations about Sage Ryan, but that's not here nor there. Okay, would you have Kim Mulkey on the podium? Well, I'll play some of this. This is via WBRZ. Okay.
You have to talk anymore. She wants to draw.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck next week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back. We'll hear from Middle Tennessee's head.
All right, so let's start Mulkey. She just ended.
Post-game questions for Coach Mulkey. Once again, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you.
Bryce Coon, 24/7 Sports. Coach, obviously that moment just right there, but towards the end of the game, can you just talk about the love for this team that you have, how special this group is, and just, like they said, the accountability they have as a team together to be able to continue to move forward in this tournament?
As you see, I coach a very shy team. They're very passive. I have to really get them going. They're fun. They're fun. Even when they're frustrated, they're fun. They're ballers. And I'm blessed. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for LSU. Let me say this. There's so many times people take getting to a Sweet 16 for granted. Do you know how many coaches probably had never done that in their career? I've always acknowledged that it's hard to do. I thought our fans were outstanding today. They showed up at what time did we play the other day? 3 o'clock, and then today at 2 o'clock. Those kids keep me young.
Corey Diaz with USA Today Sports Network. Kim, obviously not the start that you guys wanted today. Just wanted to ask if externally, if you guys felt like you maybe were distracted a touch, and just talk about how your team was able to just weather that early start.
No, listen, man, we're not going to let one sleazy reporter distract us from what we're trying to do. Absolutely not. My kids didn't even know I said that yesterday. That team's not involved in this. They were in shock when they saw all that on the internet. I don't take that stuff to my team. Was that the question, or did you have a second part?
Sorry about just how they weathered that storm. I know the first half didn't go the way you wanted to.
Well, it didn't go, but guys, sometimes once we give credit to the other team, that's a Hall of Fame coach down there. Those kids hadn't lost a game since the end of December. That's a good team, well coached. They run their stuff. They reverse the ball. They make you defend for 30 seconds. As I told you in the press conference before we played them, do you know how many Power 5 teams that man has beaten? About 17, 19 in the SEC alone. I give credit to the opponent.
Brett Martell with AP. So, it looked like early on the size inside for MTSU was working for them, and eventually it looked, obviously Balderreva fouled out before the end of the third quarter, so you guys were physical and aggressive, continuing to pound it inside. Could you just give us some insight into what worked in that way?
Well, size matters, but I also think it doesn't matter. I'll take the smallest little point guard you got if they got quickness. But in certain positions, size matters. It makes you alter your shot. Now, Angel missed some breakaway layups. That had nothing to do with size inside, but she kept battling. I think at half, Angel didn't even have an offensive board. I thought it was very obvious that use your fouls. They were physical. They used their fouls, and we took advantage of it. I thought our energy, I thought our aggressiveness, I thought our effort in the second half wore them down. Even when they got good looks, they didn't make them. And I think at the end of the third quarter, if I remember, I think they only had 1 3. And I think we just picked up our effort a lot more in the third and fourth quarter.
Coach, how'd you feel about y'all's team only having 1 turnover in the second half?
I feel good that we only had 7 for the game.
And
It looked a little bit different than the other night, didn't it? The other day.
Yes, it did. And another question: how did you feel about Haley's defensive effort despite only shooting 1 for 5?
I was very proud of Haley today. She doesn't start the second half for no other reason other than a coach's decision. And that child worked her rear end off in the second half defensively. And as Flage said, she set the tone for us to pick our energy up on the defensive end. She's just trying to do something in her career before college ends for her, and that's, to try to win a championship. And I just told her how unselfish she was today to let me start POA. She didn't ask why. She didn't pout. She went out there and did her job.
Back to the defense, you held them to 8 field goals in the second half, two total threes. The total effort, I guess, you're speaking about Haley, but Flage and her ability to, get up and down the court. Is that what you're most proud of and feel like your team has a chance to go deep because of?
I thought we picked up pushing the ball. We were running in transition at all positions in the second half. What we did better defensively is we helped each other. We helped each other. And it started with our post players helping POA, helping Haley when that young lady would come off the screens at the top. I mean, it's just hard to guard somebody that really makes them flow and makes them go. And I thought late in the shot clock, they did exactly what they've been taught to do, and that's you switch anything under 10 seconds on the shot clock. You'll hear us holler hot. That's letting them know. We switch at all positions on ball screens. I think also in the second half, we rebounded better. Those guys were kicking our rear on the boards early. And honestly, that wasn't in the scouting report. That was kind of a shock that we were getting out rebounded or those things were happening in the first half.
Hey, Coach, Matthew Bruning on 3. How important was the pitch ahead passes that y'all were able to get y'all's transition offense going, or at least get into y'all's offense earlier to give you opportunities?
Well, at halftime, we told them we need to get some transition buckets. And let's go. If you get a rebound, Michaela, if you get a rebound, Flage, take off. Everybody run. And I just think that we got some cherry picking there. I think Angel was down there one time, and we got some breaks to get it started like that. But then it just kind of snowballed, and we just started running and going. I think they got in foul trouble. I can't remember when we got into the bonus, but obviously we were telling them, why settle? Take it right down their throats.
One last one for Coach in the back.
Chessa Boucher with NBC 33 here in Baton Rouge. Flage hit some big time shots, but what did you see from her tonight?
I've seen it in Flage this last half of the season. That kid's confidence is unbelievable right now. And it's not just one dimensional. She's doing so many good things out there on the floor. One, she's taking care of the ball. Two, she knows when to drive, when to shoot the shot from the perimeter. She's, other than today, she's most of the time being asked to guard the better perimeter player. I think Scott asked it earlier. She's just starting to learn this game at all aspects, and it's just fun to watch her. She'll get in that timeout now. It's so funny. I don't even have to talk anymore. She wants to draw this up, and she wants to say this, and then Angel has her 2 cents, and so every now and then I get to chime in.
Coach, congratulations. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck next week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back. We'll hear from
Kim Mulkey there at the end. Flage drawing up the plays. I love it. Uh-oh. He's here. The Master. Blaster. What's up? Good to see you. I think Tony was at the game today. So now Manuel points out LSU has a rematch with Colorado, who beat them in the first round. Is that true? That's who they play next? Let me see. Because isn't Colorado the 5 seed? Let me confirm that. No, they do not play Colorado next. See, LSU's a 3 seed. Colorado's a 5 seed. So we do know the next game will be Saturday. But at this point, we don't know. Okay? LSU will play the winner of Creighton and UCLA. Obviously, both more known for their men's programs, but obviously both are good teams. You know, I've not really watched any Creighton women's basketball. I don't watch a whole lot of UCLA either. LSU will not have to play Colorado or Iowa. They would have to play one of them if they were to move on to the Elite Eight. So Colorado is not next. Now, I could see how that confuses you, though, because they are the only 2 teams in this. Let me make sure I get this right. This Albany 2 bracket that have already moved on because they're the only 2 teams that have played up to this point. So it'll be UCLA or Creighton. Okay. Let's go to Richard. Angel is playing within her limits to protect the ankle for another week. Richard might have a point here. LSU could just be banged up. Angel could just have a bad ankle at this point. So, for me, I'm not too worried about that. I think it's just more of her just not playing her absolute best. Kim Mulkey, as you just heard a minute ago, she missed the bunny layups, and she would have had a far bigger game if she would have made those layups. Hey, there he is. What's up, Robbie? Let's go Pelicans. I saw they took care of business against the mighty, high-flying, future NBA champion superstar team, the 6-win Detroit Pistons. But I'll take it. Even though Tayshaun Prince, even though Richard Hamilton, even though Sheed and Billups and that whole great Pistons team was not on the floor today, I'll still take it. I'm very interested to see what this Brandon Ingram stuff is going to come out and look like. But thank you so much, Roby, for your super chat. If you want to ask a Pelicans question, that's okay. What's up, Blake? Good to see you. I'll be on with him tomorrow night, breaking all of this down. And here's Carl the Cat with a legend in his own right, Thurman Thomas. Good to see you. Yeah, obviously, like many of you, by the eye test, this does not look like a national championship team right now. But survive and advance. That's all there is to it. I mean, I wish there was some other way for us to really break this down other than those 2 words or 3 words. I say this, and we can analyze all we want about LSU being clunky, LSU being predictable, too many open shots. Middle Tennessee did not shoot the ball well. They had some open looks. They just clanked them. I highly recommend, and we do have amnesia when it comes to certain things. Most national championship runs, 2 or 3 of the games are ugly wins. Okay, for most teams. There are some years where you have a team that beats everyone by 30. But there are some games where there are some games where you just got to find a way. We mentioned the Miami game earlier. Kim Mulkey mentioned the Miami game recently in a press conference. The Utah game. If LaDasia Williams didn't play in the Utah game last year, we were getting beat by 15 by the Utes. But we found a way to win. Let's go to Roby. His super chat question. What do you do about Brandon Ingram? Resign him or let Trey Murphy take his spot? Yeah, the truth here is obviously Trey is cheaper. He's younger. He's healthier. I'm interested to see how BI bounces back from this injury situation. But at this point, they need to just play Trey Murphy more and just go down with the ship. So there you go. That's my opinion. Trey needs to play more. That's all there is to it. Jared, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Peggy wants to talk about LSU baseball. All I know, Peggy, is Bear Jones can smash a baseball. But LSU offensively is really struggling right now. I'm not going to overreact to Florida. Obviously, winning game 1 was nice. I understand this is going to sound like excuses, and I get it. But this was the most motivated team in the country this weekend. LSU baseball was going to have their issues with Florida this year coming to their building. we prevented them from winning a national championship. With that said, obviously, the game that's going to be discussed is the game 2 loss. You lost 6-4. Obviously, went into extras. Obviously, you just couldn't find a way to put it away. But, historically, LSU has been an offensive program. And 6 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs is just not LSU baseball at all. And obviously, Jay Johnson's background is in hitting. So you guys got to let me know what you think. I've heard a few of you mention switching things up with some of the players that are honestly some of the mainstays. Like Paxton Kling is a name. I normally don't dive too deep into baseball because I think early season stuff can get overblown. But if you lose 2 SEC series in a row, that does make you begin to think, well, maybe LSU might not be able to host a regional or host a super this coming year. And we know how big of a deal it is to host that super regional. But LSU's identity going all the way back to the Gorilla Ball days is offense. Now, there have been great pitchers, yes. Lewis Coleman, Renato, McDonald, Paul Skeens, and so on. Chad Jones. But they've got to hit the ball better. Okay? They've got to hit the ball better. But then again, I'm not I feel like transparency is very important. I have mostly been still focused on LSU football and in the spring and LSU women's basketball. But I am proud of softball. I'm proud of gymnastics. Baseball has just got to turn this thing around, and hopefully they do. It's a lot, though, to keep up. It's a lot. And look, I trust Jay Johnson to get it done. I really, really do. Okay? Now, next thing. I do want to touch on a few LSU football things because we're not going to do a Sunday night live stream. The first thing is, as far as I heard Blake mention this a minute ago about Sage Ryan. A lot of you have some cautious optimism when you had the season that Sage Ryan had last year, which wasn't really that good. And now he has been, the best player in practice. At the very least, he was the best player yesterday, but he's a leader and he's a guy that everyone likes. What I would bring up as well, outside of just Sage, is Major Burns taking over the nickel or the star role, which is very interesting. There was a viral tweet yesterday that went around that the NFL is now a 4-2-5 league, right? Which is a 4-man front, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. Obviously, there's multiplicities in defensive alignments. It's not just that simple that it's a 4-2-5 situation. Obviously, you're going to have some 3-man fronts. We saw Blake Baker. I mentioned this, and we did a breakdown on it. What he did versus Tennessee was nothing short of incredible, where he went to mostly just a 3-man tight front to deal with that Tennessee offense, and he only held them to 7 points. And anytime you hold a Josh Heupel offense to only 7 points is impressive. So Blake Baker is very multiple, but most defenses now are a 4-2-5. Okay. If you're going to play a 4-2-5, it is of the utmost importance that the middle level of the defense is good. And what I mean by the middle level are 3 players in particular. Your 2 linebackers off ball and your nickel. Okay. And in this case, Major Burns is getting a lot of reps at the star nickel hybrid position, which is in the box. So while Sage Ryan is playing some free safety, I think they'll rotate and he'll play some and vice versa. It is interesting. Maybe Major Burns has found his home in this role. I know a lot of you feel burned by Major Burns and Sage Ryan with their very hot and cold performances last year, but they are very experienced and they are 1 year older and they are, getting into their athletic prime. One guy, though, that I will beat the table for until the start of the season is Deshaun McBride. Like I said, my final high school grades are coming out pretty soon on Patreon. I grade every single player just based on their high school film, their recruiting rankings, how they performed, how they fit, or how I feel about them going into the next level. And it's honestly just based on what they've done in high school, which could be misleading, right? High school football and underwear Olympics and camps and all of that, recruiting rankings may not accurately predict a player's future. But I try my best to see if I could spot greatness. It's just a thing I like to do. I like to do it for our patrons. And at this point in time, Deshaun McBride holds my number one spot. And that's normally a pretty good signal that you're going to be a good football player at LSU. So there you go. The beauty of spring, are you a glass half full because Sage got 3 picks, one of which was a pick 6? Or are you a glass half empty because Nuss threw those 3 picks? So I did a practice breakdown, and I gave my full answer actually to this very thing. But I'll give it to you here, Pegasus, because you've been rocking with me for a while. I believe it's more a good thing for Sage Ryan than it is a bad thing for Garrett Nussmeier. Yes, Garrett Nussmeier has a history of interceptions, and some of which are really, really, really bad. Where I would push back, though, is number one, they did say it was extremely windy yesterday at practice. So I know a lot of you will scorn at this. The wind actually affects practices more than it does games just because of simple physics of the stadium, right? If you're playing in a cathedral and there's 100,000 people, the wind doesn't swoop in the same way it does in spring practices. So, some of the people that were there said they think wind could have affected some of Garrett Nussmeier's mishaps, which is it is plausible. But at the same time, you are a little concerned about Garrett's ball security and whatnot. But I am more excited that Sage Ryan is making plays and starting to hopefully turn into a star. I'll tell you this. Pro Football Focus thought Sage Ryan was honestly close to exceptional per their grading towards the end of the year, which I didn't agree with. But I don't always agree with PFF. I will say this about Sage. His developmental curve has always been very strange. So in high school, people that went to a lot of his games would tell you he was a better offensive player than he was a defensive player. So if that's the case, switching over to the defensive side of the football full time, that's a transition. Then his first season under Ed Orgeron, he only played 2 games because he was very hurt. Then obviously you're playing man coverage on every snap, which was obviously a bad thing if you're playing in an Ed Orgeron defense. And then obviously new coaching staff comes in and they ping pong you to every single position because of injuries and because, well, you never really excelled at any of the positions. The only position where he never really got to settle in and play for an extended time was free safety. Now, I will say last year in the spring game, he did get extended time at safety, and it was a tough performance. But maybe this is his natural position. That was a position that 247 gave him coming out. Nick Saban, I think, viewed him as like a nickel hybrid kind of guy. And maybe that's his better position. I don't know. But hopefully he's coming into his own and he's taking another step as a leader. And this year 4 for him is going to be his breakout year. Now, next thing I would bring up, I feel like Javen is more of a safety as well. This is something I always bring up, just publicly. I would do this if I was obviously Brian Kelly. I would go to my team and remind them to hold up the standard. All right, we heard Garrett Nussmeier say our standard is no longer 10 wins. We're an 11-win team. And if LSU wins, if they go 11-1 next season, they're going to be in the playoff. There's no other way around it. They will be a playoff team. If you go 10-2, you're probably a playoff team. It is a standard. But for that standard to be met, you must also hold up off the field. You must focus in on always doing the right thing. So yesterday, which seems to be something that happens with regularity at Georgia, this time it was a transfer player from Louisiana, Trevor Etienne. Obviously, he had some issues behind the wheel, got booked, and there you go. So another off-the-field situation that Georgia's going to have to deal with involving vehicles and alcohol. Anytime these things happen, I would always hope that our staff and the leaders of our SWAT teams, which is like, we've had Jack Besh breaking down what that means a few years ago, but the SWAT teams always hold each other accountable. We do have a lot of scholarship guys on our team. We do have a lot of 4-star guys on our team. We do have a lot of guys that are going to take big leaps next year, but we are not that deep of a team. We are not that deep in terms of proven SEC level production. We need all hands on deck. We need every single person to remain locked in for us to accomplish what we're going to need to accomplish next year. Georgia's running back room is still going to be fine without Etienne. He's probably still going to be eligible to play next season. We can't really afford a whole lot of these types of things. So it is so important to withhold up that standard, and I think we will. I think we will. And I know players' parents watch this. I know players watch my stuff. And that's I would say, this team has a chance to be special. Every team at LSU has a chance to be special. Our blue chip ratio is always amongst the best. Do not blow it doing something crazy like that. Do not blow your opportunities. Let's go to Jordan. He says, half glass full because of Sage needing more improvement than us. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Peggy, they're trying. They're trying. Wait for the spring window to open up. Trust me, LSU is going to be very active, and I think the spring window could also be a very active time for players that aren't playing a whole lot at LSU that will be looking for new homes elsewhere. So one other thing that Brian Kelly said, and I'll share a few more things and play some women's basketball audio here in just a second because I want to mostly stay on that. Brian Kelly mentioned that the wide receiver room for him is down to 7 players. All right. He mentioned that, and no one followed up with him about who those 7 players were. I thought that was very interesting. Who do you think those 7 wide receivers are that Brian Kelly was referencing? Who do you think those 7 wide receivers are? I've gotten a lot of messages about Kyle Parker. Is Kyle Parker going to be that guy? Brian Kelly is mentioning more 12 personnel. So if you're going to play more 12, so you're not going to play as many wide receivers. They have a lot, Peggy. I would have loved to have heard Brian Kelly name who those 7 receivers are. Chance gives his Lacey Anderson, Xavion, Hilton, Samson, Parker, and one more. Would be Daniels. That would be the 7th. So I would think it would be those 7. Lacey Anderson, Xavion, Hilton, Samson, Parker, and Daniels. But here's a good thing. Kai Prean could be you. We don't know who those 7 receivers are. One thing I found to be fascinating during this past year, and I was doing a breakdown of these incoming recruits. There are some receivers with pretty high pedigree coming in. Kylan Billiot, obviously, Jelani Watkins is going to come in here and probably be the fastest receiver on the team, either him or Chris Hilton. It's one of those two. So those 2 in particular are 2 guys that could be the difference makers. Tradez Green. Is this something that could be a life-changing type of thing at LSU? We've never really had this type of tight end, and now we have 2 of them, him and Pimpton, of this 6'6" variety. Now, we've had good tight ends, plenty of good ones. Mason Taylor was the best blocking tight end in the SEC per PFF. But I don't think we've had like Antonio Gates, basketball dominant type of guys. And obviously Tradez Green is very well known for his basketball pedigree. Honestly, don't know if Tradez was ever eligible to play his final year of hoops here. Also, something else. The best basketball player in this recruiting class could be an offensive lineman. Apparently, Weston Davis is high school Shaquille O'Neal. Is that a hey? What's a hey? Kai is back on offense. Lots of hype for Trey'Dez Green. Jordan, hopefully it's Peyton Todd. Hopefully it is Peyton Todd. He's been waiting for his turn. But so far, Peyton Todd, first year, Avery Atkins wins the job. And then these last couple of seasons, Jay Bramblett wins the job. So now we're here in year 4. This is Peyton Todd's time. Year 4 of his development. Normally, punters don't have to wait. Here's the thing about Trey'Dez. And this is very important. Like Pimpton, he really didn't play tight end in high school. He was a wide receiver. So there's a transition, right? When you're mostly lined up as the X, the dude in the offense. And now you're a tight end. You're now the Y. You're connected and you got a block and all of that. It's tough. Big Mill. Can't believe I missed the ladies' basketball game to watch the garbage baseball game. Yeah, I wouldn't. I always say this when it comes to sports. If you have to choose between two sporting events, choose the game with more immediacy. All right. Now, if you care so much more about LSU baseball than you do LSU women's basketball, then yeah, you should go to the baseball game. But, you know, there's really only one sport where I drop almost every last little thing I do on the planet Earth to watch, and that's LSU football. There's no NFL team that I'll drop every last thing for me to do. So your best option is just to stay at home. But if you want to go to the games, go to the games. You can watch games on your phone now, depending on the service quality in the stadiums. But yeah, you know, if you chose to watch LSU baseball over LSU women's basketball, your preference is your preference. I always go to which is the bigger game. Which is the bigger game? And right now, even though LSU baseball is kind of slumping a little bit, the bigger game is the LSU women's basketball team. You only get 6 March Madness games a year if you're lucky. Peyton Todd is a punter's name. That is funny. That is absolutely funny. So, I've been getting destroyed in college basketball betting. I don't know how anyone bets this stuff. I have gotten absolutely hammered. Not gonna lie. Somebody's got to give me a winning play. Every time March Madness comes around, I think that I could just swoop in and bet and do as well as I do during college football. And I'm okay at college football betting. But I'm like, yeah, let me take Utah State. Purdue can choke. And Purdue looks like the 96 Bulls. Duke destroying James Madison. Right now, who is going to win the NCAA men's basketball tournament? And why is it Tennessee? Why do I think Rick Barnes is actually going to do it? Why is that? Something else I wanted to mention. Actually, I'll save it. I do want to allow since we talked about her so much and she's becoming a superstar, let's hear from Big Foe.
Just what changed defensively for y'all and what allowed y'all to go in that run?
Haley. I told Haley we got to cut the head off the snake. You know what I'm saying? And she really took that challenge on because they point guard. She's little, but she's mighty, and she makes things happen for them. And she breaks down defenses. So Haley gave us the opportunity to be able to get in some passing lanes for the bigs to be able to work their mojo. So that's all Haley Van Lift right there.
Bryce Kuhn, 24/7 Sports. Angel, can you just kind of talk about Flau'jae? And I mean, I know you've talked about this all season, but just her ability to kind of not only ignite the crowd, but the bench and the team as well. Obviously a team effort, but just the job that she did today.
Yeah, it comes from the defensive end. I don't know if it's on. It comes from the defensive end. I think she's done a great job to transition from her freshman to sophomore year and taking that on. She usually guards the best player on the team. I mean, tonight the point guard was that, but she took accountability and just being able to get down and give us a lot of energy. She told us, like she said in the locker room, cut the head off the snake, and I was the point guard. So just being able to have a leadership from a sophomore when I might not be having my best game or Haley may not be having her best game, having also leadership from our younger players is great.
Corey Diaz with the USA Today Sports Network. Angel, for you, I think it was 4:21 in the third quarter. Flau'jae was at the free throw line, and I saw Kim yell to get your attention, and she just mouthed to you, "I need you." Just that moment. What did you perceive the message to be, and how did you sort of implement that for the remainder of the game?
Yeah, I didn't want to let my team down. I think we were down at that point. And, of course, when anybody tells me that they need me, I want to be there and do whatever it takes to win. And I had another off night scoring, but I was just doing whatever it could to just help the team, getting steals, getting pass lanes, help my point guard. And like I said, I don't want to let my team down. I didn't want this to be my last game being here in the PMAC. So I just did whatever it takes to win. And me and Coach have that kind of relationship where she can get on me and tell me, like, and talk to me like, I need you, and give me that encouragement that I need.
It's for both girls, but Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV and Ventnor. We'll start with Angel. Just the idea of this being a 40-minute game and understanding that, Coach talked about it yesterday, not exactly the deepest benches on either side. So if you get them in foul trouble, you guys could get, the outcome you wanted.
Yeah, we knew Middle Tennessee was going to be a team that played for 40 minutes. We saw when they played Louisville and they were down 18 and came back and won that game. So we knew we were going to have to fight. Everybody was going to have to suck it up and get down and just do whatever it takes to win. I think we did that. We had a lot of help also from the bench and being able to have Poa sub in and start that second half and Haley still come in. It was the different rotations that we have. And like I said, you never know whose game or whose night it's going to be. So being able to have players that step up off the bench was something that was key for us tonight and then get them in foul trouble.
Yeah, same. We just had energy. I mean, like I feel like everybody felt that shift in the energy going into halftime. I was like, my stomach was bubbling. I said, I ain't going home. I ain't got nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like until the summer. So, I want to be in New York. Simple.
This is Blake Spadell from WNBA Swish. Y'all were down 41-32 in the middle of the start of the third quarter, and then y'all hit them with a blitz. What exactly happened, and how did y'all flip the switch?
Defense.
Yeah, defense. We got steals.
That defense. They have defense. Offensively, it wasn't really an issue. It hasn't been an issue for us because we know we can score the ball. But defense, number 4, I told her, Savannah, after the game, I mean, she's a great player. She can score all levels, and just being able to guard her and have to guard her and give her as much hell as we could. I mean, she took great shots and she made a lot of tough baskets. I mean, that was one of the tougher guards that I've seen. And I think our guards did a great job trying to just keep her composed as much as we can. But you got to give kudos to her. Number 4, she's a great player.
Scott Rabelais with the Advocate. Flau'jae, Coach Starkey was on the radio after the game sitting by me, and he said, you've really grown in your knowledge of the game in your time here. What did you think you knew when you came here, and what do you think you know now, and that has helped your game and helped you be a better teammate and contributor to this team?
Coming into college? Oh, I knew nothing. I thought I knew something. And then I hit them going up and down with them college girls. And I said, oh no, I got to slow it down. So my freshman year, like me and Coach Starkey, I never missed a day of film with him. Like he just teach me so much. And then some point throughout this year, it kind of just clicked. Like, you know, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, you know, just listening to scouting report. I feel like, you know, when you kind of know what the player going to do, you can kind of make them do whatever. I kind of think like defensively from an offensive standpoint, like what would I do? You know what I'm saying? And then I use that with scouting report, listen to what he says, because Coach Starkey he's brilliant with scouting report. So I just try to learn anything I can, like suck all the juice from him because he knows a lot.
Angel, in that rally, you kicked it to Poa. Poa found Michaela in the corner, and she drained that three. Just the place got nuts. But just her poise and kind of needing her buckets here, you know, getting her going in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, as a freshman, like I said, this is her second game in the NCAA tournament. I know nerves are still high for her. The crowd was going crazy, and I know trying to get it to my teammates as much as I can. I love getting assists. Like, I try to lead the team in assists as best as I can. And I told her one time I kicked it to her, and I think she did a one dribble step back, and I was like, I don't think I got the assist for that. So I'm happy for Michaela and her confidence and being able to hit shots, but also on the defensive end. Number 15 was going off in the first half, and just I think she contained her in the second half, and I don't think she let her score in the second half, maybe once. But being able to have her guard and being able to play both ends of the floor is something that's important for her. She plays hard all 40 minutes, even when her shots aren't going in. Defensively, we know what we're going to get from Anissa and rebounding from Anissa, and she just makes tough shots on offense. I mean, she's a matchup nightmare, and having to guard her in practice is tough. And I love having her on my team and want to play against her just because everything that she brings to the table when it comes to rebounding and making shots and her versatility as well. So we like to try to go through Anissa as much as we can, and she just brings us a lot of confidence and energy.
There you go. You heard from Big Foe. Big Foe. What you know about Big Foe? Let me see. I want let me see if this adds a little to the ambiance. DJ, turn me up. Let's get a little more lit. I should go with a little bit more lighting. I want the dark backdrop. Now you can see this beautiful face. Man, this face is so beautiful, man. They're gonna put me on some Gillette commercials. They're gonna. My skin is so smooth. Maybe it's Maybelline. Well, no, I prefer to just go live on my own. But if you get a chance to hear from Big Bo, got to take advantage of it. And I played Kim Mulkey earlier. Why not play Angel? Why not play Big Bo? If you would have told me at halftime that it was going to be a final score of 83-56, I would have been like, what? There's no way that that's happening. But it did. It did. Houston. What about UConn? No one in here actually believes UConn's going to win it all. I think when I did my bracket polls, I did, I think in the PHL bracket challenge, I think I went with UConn. But in other bracket polls I did, I think I just overthunk it. I had Auburn beating UConn. And Auburn couldn't even beat Yale. That game ended right at the end of our last live stream. Survive and advance. You know, a few years ago when we lost to Ohio State, and we still had Caleb Pointer, we still had a really good team. And that game is what ended up leading Kateri Poole. And God, we miss her. Goodness gracious. We could really use her. And then Kateri Poole led us to Angel Reese. Man. I think people tend to forget that we struggled with Jackson State before Ohio State. So it is so important in the women's game that the opening round games are played at home. You know, that crowd, I wasn't at the game, but maybe those of you that actually went, that crowd was a difference maker. It really, really, really was. And yeah, there's a few people at the game that really, they sent me photos or like, oh, look, Jaden and Malik are here, BTJ. But that crowd was visceral. And I sometimes wish the men's tournament had their opening round games on the campuses. I think that's what they should do. But if you did that, that would take away from 14-3 upsets, like big upsets, because it makes it that much harder if you got to beat them in their building. So I've gone back and forth on it, but I do think you should reward higher seeds with home court, even though, you know, the NCAA gets the gate, per se. LD88, good to see you. PJ says, where's Jaden going, Carter? And please don't say the Patriots. Yeah, I at this point, I'm still going to go with the Washington Commanders. I think that would be an interesting fit. I would prefer him to go there instead of the Patriots. I don't think New England's a great fit for him at all. That would be the fit that would concern me the most. A few reasons why. The first is New England is outdoors, and that's a cold weather climate. That is not what Jaden is accustomed to. He's been in the South, and he's been in California and Arizona his entire career. That's also a tough division with New England and a first-time head coach, and you have Josh Allen in the division. You've got the Dolphins in the division, and you got the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're going to be that good, but defensively, they're pretty solid. Washington is a lot better fit. Okay. Not as cold as New England. NFC is a lot easier. It's still outdoors, though, right? There's a piece of me that thinks Las Vegas, even though it is in the AFC, even though it is a brutal division, you know, you have some continuity with the head coach. I think that would be a good fit for him. Vegas has weapons. You know, they have Devontae Adams. They have Jacoby Myers. Zamir White's a good young back. I think Michael Mayer is going to be a really good year two tight end. And obviously they have a Brian Kelly connection, but they never played together. So I can make a strong case that would be a good fit. Wait till we get a playoff game in Tiger Stadium. It could happen next year. Why would the Washington Post love Jaden? Men used to have first round home games. They should bring that back. But then again, you know, if you have these neutral sites, the gates are going to the NCAA anyway. So Yeah, the neutral site's probably. I don't know how all that works. I think they bid for the right to have NCAA tournament home games. It's good for the local economy in those regions, but still, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, for the longest, I said, even though as much as I would hate it, Atlanta would be a good landing spot for Jaden, but that's not the direction, obviously, the Falcons are going to go. There's still a piece of me that thinks J.J. McCarthy is going to jump either Jaden or Drake. We'll see. My wife is a Blue Raider. And she is distraught. I'm telling you, she is distraught. I'm kidding. She went to Alta when the game started. If JD can't be a Saint, I want him as far away from Louisiana as possible. I think the more interesting question, because he's going to go in the top 10. I think the more interesting question is where's BTJ going to go? I had a few of you. I think it was Pegasus that said BTJ is going to go in the top 10. And now I am seeing more smoke for that. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy, but it makes a lot of sense. Year 3 breakout. Obviously, you want an earlier breakout if you're looking for a prospect, but still, year 3 breakout. The most athletic LSU player ever, according to the REESE metric, according to the NFL Combine metrics. He is the most athletic LSU Tiger of all time. And, I think some NFL scouts are wondering, maybe BTJ really is just learning the game of football. He really didn't start taking it seriously until, later in his high school career as more of a basketball guy. Maybe that excites him. So there you go. I appreciate you, LD88. Shoot me an email. Let me know because my P.O. box changed. What is my NFL draft hot take? Well, that is my hot take. That there's going to be some team that talks themselves into taking J.J. McCarthy out of Jaden Daniels or Drake May. I still think it's a small chance of happening, but I have watched a draft long enough, and I've had actual people tell me that this very well could happen. And as is the case with every single NFL draft class, there's always one quarterback, and I just hit my finger really hard on the bottom of this, but there is always one quarterback, one that is way ahead for NFL teams than in the minds of everyone else. You might not love Caleb Williams. You might not love Drake May. You might not love Jaden Daniels as a prospect, but we can all acknowledge that they're good and that they were productive and so on and so on. And we can acknowledge to a certain degree that J.J. McCarthy was good, but he also had games where he threw like 70 yards. And it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. NFL guys think the opposite. Now, here's what we're going to do. in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep it going. We are at we are 60 away from hitting the hundo mark in terms of supers. We had a hundo. We'll give out another LSU autograph, Xavier Debo Atkins. I will also send a Joe Burrow card out. We have not hit the hundo mark, I think, in 2 weeks. So I think we're going to get there here at the end. I think we will. I got to show you the disco jacket. Let's see. I'll pull it up for you. It's the only photo I have, the one with Jacob Hester. There you go. Disco jacket. Gotta love it. Huh? I'm going to take many photos because I was busy. There you go. The disco jacket. There you go. Pegasus, his hot take. By this time next year, we'll be saying Caleb is probably the best quarterback and JD is top 5 at least in the NFC. We chatted some baseball today, LD. Caleb is probably the best quarterback. Are you saying in the NFL? Best quarterback in the NFL? I don't know about that. I mean, quarterback is really strong at the top with Patrick, Allen, and Lamar. And obviously, I think Burrow's the second best quarterback in the NFL. Oh, okay. So you're saying Caleb is the best quarterback in the NFC. Okay. So I see how you wrote it now. Yeah, obviously moving up in the NFC is a lot easier than in the AFC. So with Caleb Williams, I don't know if he's going to be the best quarterback in his division. I mean, I'm a huge Jordan Love guy. I like Jordan Love. Dak is still good, even though playoff chokers. Arizona, I think the single, and if you want to support, if you want to support me, another way you could support me is by signing up for Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Carter. They're already doing drafts. Okay, see where that thing says promo code. Sign up, you get a deposit match bonus up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, underdogfantasy.com. I think the most underrated quarterback prospect or quarterback in the NFL right now is Kyler Murray. More so from a fantasy standpoint than an actual real life standpoint. Matthew Stafford is still there. And the Rams should actually be pretty decent next year, even though they did lose Aaron Donald. I think Kyler Murray is so unfreaking believably undervalued in fantasy. Not going to sit here and tell you he's the next great thing, but he is still really good. He is still a really good quarterback. And his weapons are only going to get better. Superstar tight end, top 5 tight end in the NFL is entering his year 3 year. Really his year 2 year. They're probably going to draft Marvin Harrison. Michael Wilson's a very interesting wide receiver. Got James Conner in the backfield. Kind of bullish. Kind of bullish on Kyler next year. Well, all right, y'all. That is it for me. I think Bryce Young could have a bounce back. I don't think it made zero sense. I understood them trading up, but maybe they shouldn't have traded as much as they traded. If the Bears hit on Caleb Williams, that will go down as the best trade in NFL history. It really will. Bears got DJ Moore. Then they're going to get whatever they get at 9. Then they got Darnell Wright, who's decent. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So we'll see. This live stream, though, is still dedicated to Big Foe and Anissa Morrow. I don't know how many more times I could say it. They're sensational. I still have a very higher end Anissa Morrow autograph card I bought earlier this year. I'm so happy I did when I got it when I did. Can't imagine what it's worth now. Might not be worth a whole lot, but Morrow is like for real. And like, it wouldn't shock me in the least bit if she ends up being the best WNBA player on this team. I mean, I could make a case that her game actually, her and Flaugy actually fits the WNBA better than it does college. I mean, they are just so freaking good. Like, I knew Morrow was going to be good. If you watched her DePaul highlights, you're like, okay, she just needs to be on a better team. Flaugy, though, from last year to this year, it's crazy. It's crazy. I just had something buzz in that NLE Choppa just tweeted about Flaugy. Okay, Choppa. Definitely will translate. Yeah. I think both of them. But Morrow is just like so unbelievably athletic. Like, there's just not really anything she doesn't do well. Like, I wouldn't say she's like unfreaking believably exceptional at any one thing, but she is like very, very, very good at everything. And one area where she is truly exceptional is the mental. She's just got that dog mentality. But I'll say this. I do think the crowd today could have a major impact on Haley Van Lith and Angel Reese. Some WNBA crowds, especially in the playoffs, can get as crazy as that. But I unless I'm an elite number one overall player, I just don't know if I'm making that leap to the WNBA. There is a piece of me that thinks Angel Reese is going to feel like she needs to make that leap. But I just wouldn't. I would not do it. None of those WNBA brands are as big as LSU. Not a single one of them can touch them. Okay. Sure. Is it cool to play in the same, like, let's say you get drafted by the Sparks? Is it cool to be in the same building as where the Lakers play? Sure. That's cool. That opens you up to new opportunities and whatnot. Go to the Aces, play for a team that's co-owned by Tom Brady. Yeah, it's cool to go to Vegas and all that stuff. But there's nothing like what you have at LSU. Nothing. Everywhere you go is sellouts. You're going to play in front of bigger crowds than you will in the WNBA. I think if I'm Haley Van Lith, I'm definitely coming back. And if I'm Angel Reese, I'm seriously considering it, even though I see myself in these lottery pick situations. I'd come back. And there's obviously a lot of where Angel can improve in her game. Obviously, the perimeter aspect. And one thing that's really impressive about Angel Reese is how often she actually takes the ball up the floor. She does it quite a bit, a lot more than you would think your best big would do. And another thing about Angel coming back next season is LSU is going to be a lot deeper next year. So she's not going to have to carry the load as much as she's had to carry the load for us this year. Del Rosario is going to be better, and you'll have Smith back. So I'd keep those NIL checks coming and ride it one more season, especially if we don't win it all this year. We could field an even better team next year. Morrow comes back next season. I don't know why you wouldn't run it back. Enjoy college. And enjoy it as much as you possibly can. And I wish there was more professional opportunities for women's basketball players, but there's just not. You know, I had a buddy who had some success in the NBA, and he's been balling in Turkey for so long, still making good money. And of course, there's women's professional leagues around the world, but you know, there's no like big league where like Diana Taurasi makes $300K a year. The Pistons' 8th player coming off the bench makes that basically per month. You know, it's insane. It's insane. So I say run it back. Bring everyone back. Save money on the recruiting trail and let's run this thing. All right, y'all. That'll do it for me. Big thanks to our supers, Cody, Roby, and J-Red. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate our friends at Louisiana Controls and LouisianaControls.com as well. It is Pound Hour LSU. Boom! Ooh! And tonight, we're doing Rotolo's Chicken Florentine Calzone. Let's freaking go. Let's go.